Hey guys, welcome back. I'm John Setzler. It's Friday night here at the Man Cave once again, and we're going to do our thing like we always do. And I've got a guest with us tonight. Let me bring him up here on screen with me.
What's
Scott,
up?
introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I am Scott Bartlow, Bartlow's Barbecue, and I'm from Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City.
So,
Fidey's with us. Good to see you. We got a crowd that shows up here with us on Friday night. Guys, Scott's another YouTuber that's he's doing a lot of great video content with a lot of great equipment. Are you going to have a drink with us tonight, Scott?
I got two different things, but just actually just water. There we go, water and coffee.
There you go. Well, I'm going to get into some Eagle Rare, I think,
Ooh,
this evening.
yeah, I seen you have that on multiple lives. Haven't
Yeah.
you?
Well, I don't do the Eagle Rare that frequently because this one's a little hard to come by, but I haven't done it in a while, so I'm going to get into a little bit of that tonight. It's been a
Nice.
long day. Tanya and I got up early this morning and went to Atlanta. We went down to visit the guys at Atlanta Grill Company for a
Awesome.
couple hours. Well, I was in there for less than an hour actually, but cheers everybody. It's Friday. Here we go. Yeah, we went. I went down there today specifically to have a look at a new grill that they have. They've got the new model of the PK grill.
Oh yeah,
Uh, I'm a big fan of the PK grills. I've got the PK 360 and I've got the PK Go. And the reason I don't have the main, the old standard PKs because it had some issues that I didn't care for.
sure.
And they've updated that grill. And I went down there to look at it because I'm thinking about buying one. Uh, it's one of these things I don't need, but I want it. You know all about
Yes.
that, right?
Oh my, yeah, yeah. Talk to my
Yeah,
wife about that. She's like,
yeah. We're gonna talk about your gear here in a minute for sure. But these everything that I didn't like about the PK, I don't the standard PK grill
yeah.
has been fixed. It's
Oh, that's awesome. Is that the
yeah.
one online I've seen, or maybe I've seen you post about it? Is it all black,
Well,
or I
I
know that
think
there's a silver and gray, but I think I've seen a black one that looks really sharp.
the original PK. I'm not sure what colors it's available in. It's traditionally kind of its unfinished aluminum color.
Yeah.
These things are cast aluminum, but like the 360, I know is available in that color. Mine's called the graphite.
Okay.
It's the darker color. And yeah, Ryan, can you believe that? I was in a hurry because it's hard for me to go there on a Friday and get back here in time to do this unless I really hustle. And my wife went with me today, Tanya. Let's bring Tanya in here for a moment. Tanya
Yeah.
went with me today. Tanya's probably got some drinking. Tanya's probably drinking tonight too. What are you having, Tanya?
Well, tonight I'm having the Pisgah Coffee Roasters Panther Town.
All right.
And it's described as, like velvety and dark. And I've decided that if Barry White were a coffee, this would be Barry White.
I
Okay, well
love that.
that's pretty impressive. That's kind of like a sexual chocolate, right?
It's something else, let me tell you.
Hey,
Yes.
speaking
Oh,
of
so
that,
good.
I have a bottle of that around here somewhere from Foothills Brewing Company. I'll have to dig that up one Friday. But Tanya went with me this morning. We rolled out of here at 6 a.m. and we
Wow.
rolled into Atlanta Grill Company at 11 a.m.
Okay.
And I left Atlanta Grill Company at or a few minutes before noon.
Wow.
Really, he did.
Wow.
And I spent $32.
Was it worth it?
Well, uh, I bought
Oh,
I bought some stuff I didn't need, but I bought some stuff. I don't have the receipt in my pocket. I don't think. I bought a bag of the Jealous Devil charcoal briquettes.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I love that stuff.
I've never tried those before, and I wanted to try them. Hey, Tanya, I've got our Bojangles receipt
Oh yeah.
for breakfast. Yeah,
Well, Russ, I was in there for the same amount of time that John was in there. I checked out this new Yeti cooler
this
bag
is not
thing.
Russ. This is
Yeah.
Scott.
I was talking to Scott,
Oh,
Russ.
you were telling Russ. Okay.
Yeah, I know
I'm
who Scott
sorry.
is.
Tanya's my producer. She knows who she's talking to.
I love
Usually. See, you've upset Lily now, John.
She's not upset.
You've made her move. But I was
Well,
in there the same length of time as he was, except while he was looking around and stuff, I was like chilling.
well,
You
tell
know.
everybody, Tanya, what my next purchase from Atlanta Grill Company is going to be.
The Yeti, is it called the hopper bag? What's
The
that?
Hopper M30.
Yeah, well, anyway, it
Yeah.
was really very impressive. I looked inside it, had a nice amount of room, the ability to lay it on the side, the fact that it doesn't weigh 500 pounds like the other Yeti coolers really kind of puts that in the sweet spot for me.
Nice.
Well, I wanted to get. I've got the original. One of my Yeti coolers is the original 20-quart Roadie with the metal handle on it, and I was wanting to replace that with the new 20-quart Roadie that's got the soft handle on it. That's a little different shape, and I wanted Tanya to look at that, and because a lot of times Tanya's doing some road tripping now where she needs a cooler to ride with her sometimes, and the main reason a lot of times that she and I throw a cooler in the back of the car is when we go to Costco, which is a little over an hour away. When I go shopping down there, I need to take a cooler with me, and
That's a great idea.
I've got the Yeti Hall, which has got the handle and the wheels on it. It's a little bit big for the average Costco trip. And the 20-quart one may not be quite big enough, but Tanya really likes this Yeti hopper, the soft side one, because it's got a shoulder strap on it and she can use it. And
That's
I think where
I work is not a culinary desert. We have like
Right.
multiple grocery stores.
Tanya's got a fresh market close to where she works, which is also that's an hour and a half from here. So
I'm
I'm
old
gonna
school. I'm an igloo man.
But igloos work fine for stuff like this. And somebody, I can't remember exactly who summed this up for me, but it may have been on here recently. But somebody said that Yeti is like Prada for men or Louis Vuitton. You know, it's I know I can buy cheaper coolers, but let me tell you this: I've bought a lot of coolers in my life, and had some of the first coolers I had ever bought been Yetis, I would have saved money. I would
Yeah.
have come out, yeah, because I've thrown more coolers away, and all of these Yetis are really hanging in there extremely well. So, Tanya, I'm gonna drop you into the background here for a little bit. I want to show these guys some of Scott's stuff here. I've got the link here that I just put up on the bottom of the screen to Scott's YouTube channel. Scott, how long have you been doing YouTube?
Let's see here. Not like tremendous amount of time. Let's see, about a year and like 4 months. So yeah, like right under 2 years, and then a little longer on Instagram. So
what possessed you to start making video? That's a question I get asked a lot. What pushed you over the edge from going to still images to wanting to do video?
That's a good question. Two answers to that. One being, for me, my personality, I love finding creative outlets, and I need to find creative outlets. And so a friend of mine, and actually a mentor was like, you need to find a hobby. And so this sounds really silly, but I tried biking and I was like, oh, I hate biking. This is not fun at all. And then that transferred into barbecue. And then that led to like, sharing that with my friends. And then over time, a friend of mine was like, dude, you need to start sharing your recipes online and just your process. And so whenever COVID, kind of the beginning of COVID, I just used that time, since pretty much everybody worked from home. I used that to pretty much launch my YouTube during COVID.
Right. Well, let's see. I've got your page up here on the screen now, so everybody can see this. Looks
Cool.
like you're doing pretty well. You've got over 2,500 subscribers already. That's a great start.
Man, very
And
grateful.
I've watched most of your videos. I haven't watched everything, but I've watched quite a few of them. And let's see here. Let me hit this video's links. The link I like to come to when I come to people's pages, because it's got all of your video content lists sequentially from newest to oldest by default. And where I like to start with somebody's way down here.
You want to go to my original stuff?
Yeah, see, well, it's fun. When I look at your stuff,
I'm
your first stuff's way better than my first stuff, because when I had no serious intentions of any kind when I started doing video content, and it was just I didn't get serious about it till I found a niche with the Char Griller Acorn, where there weren't any other videos on YouTube already.
Yeah, I was similar. Whenever I first started, I was just like, I'm just going to post some things. And honestly, I had no clue how to do video. I still do everything on my iPhone for filming, and I edit on my phone too. And so when I first started my first 10 videos, I was just posting kind of more casual. I didn't really have any good format. It was just kind of, put stuff out there. And then as I realized and started connecting with other people that do this more seriously, they gave me some great encouragement on how to better format your videos. And obviously you're one of the original OGs, man, when it comes to Kamado, and I follow your stuff for a long time. So it's fun I'm a learner in every area of life, and this would be true of barbecue. So when I started doing YouTube, I really started researching the way people started formatting their films, and you definitely can see the progression, all that to say.
Right. What's the most difficult thing you found when it comes to improving? Or let me ask this a different way. We are all of content creators like yourself and me. We are always very self-critical of what we're doing.
Oh yeah,
I know I am.
Absolutely.
What's the hardest? Where are you most critical on your video production? Not so much the content, but what's one thing about video production that you find is challenging?
The thing that is bothering me right now is good lighting when I'm outdoors. I use an iPhone 12 or 11, and I use like the 4K and sometimes like the high 1080p, depending on, I guess, how much storage I have on my phone. But for the most part, it obviously produces and records well, but sometimes there's moments when I'm outside where I wish I had better just the lighting and the way I don't want it to look granular, I guess, if that's the right term.
Right. I'm not even using a phone. I'm old school in two ways. I use a video camera, a dedicated video camera, to do all of my video recording, and I edit mine on my PC.
Okay.
And that there's nothing wrong with phone video and phone editing. Yep. I like my big screen. I've got my current PC workstation back here. When I built the one I'm using now, I put a 32-inch monitor on it.
Nice.
Best choice I've made. I got a 4K video set up there, and I like my large ergonomic keyboard.
Yeah.
My mouse. I like my mouse. And see, even with my laptop that I'm working on right here, I've got a wireless regular size keyboard to work with, because I've got big hands and I can't stand this.
I'm with you.
Yeah, and these people that love the apples, I do not see how they can do that.
You can't. I live in both worlds. I live in both.
And I've got my my Bluetooth mouse that I use here. If I'm doing anything production wise, I got to have my keyboard and my mouse. I know there's several other people I know of specifically that shoot all of their video on their phone, and some of them edit it on their phone and some of them edit it on the PC. But light is a key. I agree with you there. I've spent a lot of time and energy having my light. I'm doing most of my video content now during the day. I have a work schedule now that allows me to shoot video outside during the daytime. The only thing I have to watch out for is keeping the sun in check. because too much light is just as bad as not enough light. There's a
Yep.
happy median in there. So the I've got a pergola on my
Mm.
deck, but but our location, especially during this time of year, the sun's coming in here at an angle, and
Yep.
the shadow underneath my pergola is exactly off to the side of the pergola.
Yep.
So I've got my grills set up. I can move my grills around, and I'll move my grills into the shade when I'm working. And
Yep.
if I don't do much video content after dark anymore because of when I was working second shift or day shift work, I had to shoot my videos at night
Wow.
after dark sometimes. And I've got uh, these inexpensive light cans that you get at the hardware store. They're like $8 with some like the Par 38 LED floodlights in them.
Yeah.
I've got four of those out there, and they produce plenty of light for shooting in the dark. Shooting a
That's
lot of times. A lot of times, if you can't see too much of my surrounding area when I'm shooting in the dark, you wouldn't know I was shooting after dark, other
wow.
than the crickets and the cicadas.
Yeah. Yeah. We
You
get
hear
those in
that?
Oklahoma too, big time.
I live in the noisiest neighborhood around here. There's a post office across one street from me, a church across the street from the other, and there's traffic coming and going out there. In my videos, you can always hear car traffic. And there's a flagpole at the post office, and
Yep.
the flag hoist cable on that thing is constantly banging up against the pole. You can hear it dinging in the wind out there. A lot of people may not notice that like I do, but it
Yeah.
bothers me.
Well,
But what
on the same note, I'm sure every person that does video recording and content creation, it always seems at the time you're ready to record, either it's the neighbor is mowing their lawn,
Yep.
kids are screaming, or some type of ambient noise that you just like, or an airplane, and you're like, I have this moment. This is my moment.
Right. On Thursdays here, I cannot shoot video until usually after 1 p.m. because they're mowing the grass and at the church across the street, and there's a city museum diagonally across from me, and the post office, and all that yard work in those areas is getting done starting on Thursday morning. So I
Yep.
can't shoot anything on Thursday morning out there. The noise level's too high, and
Yeah. Oh, sure.
sometimes one of the things I've been playing with, and I want to go back to this because one of the concepts, one of my self criticisms in my own video contents, my videos are too long. I
Hmm.
I like to have in my mind a perfect video is 5 minutes or less. A 4 minute video is awesome if I can pull it off.
Hmm.
But typically I can't pull it off because I want to say too many things, and too many of the things I say don't really need to be said. So I've been playing with this concept.
Hmm.
It's kind of difficult in the beginning, but after you've done it a few times, it's not as hard. You sit down. You know how I'm standing here in my little kitchen doing my intro, uh, and what I've done on a couple of videos here recently is once I've introduced my video and said what I'm going to say, I keep talking right there, and I
Yeah.
narrate the entire process. I narrate my
Hmm.
video.
Yep.
I'll draw up an outline and I'll make notes about what I want to say, and I will narrate the video
Wow.
from start to finish. And when I do that, it keeps my video shorter. Then I can go shoot all the video I want, and
That's awesome.
I just have to make sure that I make video for everything I said I was talking about. I don't
Yep.
want to not have video for something I mentioned while I was talking. And the when I do that, it takes me longer to edit that video out because then I have to go take clips out of
Yep.
all the video I shot and fit it into my voiceover.
Yep.
But typically when I do that, I can keep my video under 5 minutes. And uh, when I look at my YouTube and my Facebook watch data on their attention spans are horribly short,
Oh my
and
yes.
the shorter my video is, I think the better off I can be. But this is something my wife and I had a conversation about, and I'm not sure whether to believe her or to believe myself. uh, pe- uh, I don't know. Uh, she seems to think that I should spend more time talking, but I guess if what you're saying is relevant, it's good. But if I'm rambling, which I'm bad about doing, you guys know that from just being here on Friday night. I try to keep my videos concise, and it's taken a lot. It takes a lot of thought and a lot of effort to minimize it. But just some of the things we do. People ask me why I don't do videos on how to prepare a whole meal. Well, that's going to be a 45-minute long video.
Yeah.
And if I can't keep a watcher engaged in a video for more than 45 seconds, which is hard enough to do, I don't think I would get any. I don't think I'd get a lot of activity on that. But
Well, I think one of the strengths that I love about your content is just what you're talking about. You're experimenting with. Is I love the level of detail you provide, especially for someone that's a novice into barbecue or Kamado or whatever grill you're using.
well,
Those steps are so important.
yeah, that's kind of my objective. I'm not. I don't want to be Bobby Flay. I don't want to be Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
I want to be. Uh, I want to be Alton Brown at even a more elementary level than
Yeah.
he is. And this philosophy came to me from Bobby Brennan, Bobby that used to own Kamado Joe. One of the things Bobby told me that he wanted from me when I was doing this directly for Kamado Joe is he wanted me to assume that the video I'm shooting is the first Kamado Joe video anybody's ever seen. That's
Hmm.
why most of my other videos go through the process of lighting the grill and a little quick thing on how I light the grill. I've kind of gotten away from that now.
Yeah.
I don't do as much of that, but I can see the benefit in that. And what I really should have done was shot that process with the 3 or 4 different ways I light the grill, where I could just reuse that content instead of reshooting it every time. But did I
Yeah.
do that? No, I shot it every time. So
Interesting enough, that's the topic. That's probably one of the most popular topics or videos that I filmed on my on my channel so far has been tent management, fire management. It's been
right.
it's just a common question.
I agree that that's where the learning curve is for any Kamado owner is fire management. Once you learn fire management, which is much easier than people realize, everything becomes easy. It's the new guy that's just got his Kamado grill that hasn't done but a handful of cooks on them that has the problems with the fire management. Can't get it as hot as he wants it, or can't keep it cool enough.
Yeah.
It's all just it's finesse of the airflow. There's 2 things that determine how hot your grill is. You have Stephen
That's pretty funny.
Stephen Hickey. I'm gonna have Tanya block you. You're gonna get on here with us one night. Scott, I can't. Steven's a Kamado master. Steven knows as much about Kamado cooking as I do, if not more. And
Awesome.
I got to get him on here with me, and I still haven't quite figured out how to do that. And Steven, yeah, but he's right. There's I have a hard time. My attention span. I have a decent attention span when it comes to barbecue. That's one of the few things I can pay attention to. But yeah, I don't watch many videos where people are rambling. I'm into the cooking, and that's something else I focus on more than my videos are mainly about cooking. I don't do a whole lot of content on technique or on equipment. I do some,
Yeah.
but you guys, like some of your videos, you doing great content on the equipment itself, and there's a lot of.
For some reason, I enjoy that side of it as well.
Yeah.
And then in transparency, there's days where it's like I don't have time to produce a food content, so I'm gonna just do something a little bit more operational.
Yeah, I like doing product review videos, or I don't even like to call them product reviews, because if you ever go back and look at the product stuff that I do, I wouldn't really call what I do a review. I would call it more of a demo, because
that's a good point.
If I'm doing a product review, it's typically something that I just got, which means that I'm really not qualified to review that product because I don't have a lot of time with it.
Yeah.
If I have a product, that I typically also won't do a product demo video on something that I'm not confident that I'm going to like or that I don't like.
Yep.
Every Yeah, it's rare. I would rather not do a negative video and just leave it because
Yeah.
you're probably. Or have you got vendors providing you with equipment yet?
Yeah, a few. I mean,
Okay,
it's the temptation being new to content creation. You start getting people wanting to send you stuff, and then you got
right.
to learn to balance what you want to represent. And to your
Well,
point,
exactly. And the thing with that is, it's great getting free gear, and I've had my share of that. I still get some occasional stuff, but I don't take hardly any of that anymore. And I would feel I feel bad, and I told these people, if you give it to me, I'm gonna say what I think about it. But I
yeah,
would rather not do a negative video. That's
yeah,
just and most of the content I've done on products, you'll very rarely see me put something down. And the
yeah,
reason for that is if I'm doing that content, it's because I already like the product.
yeah,
Uh,
yes,
yeah, it's there's a lot of great stuff out there. I'm a big fan of all the equipment that I use, and one of the great things now that I'm doing a lot of this content for Atlanta Grill Company instead of Kamado Joe is I can work on stuff that's not necessarily Kamado Joe. I'm getting to do some stuff, with the Alpha or
yeah,
with the PK grills and the Napoleon gas grill. Man, that Napoleon gas grill. I know in our little community, gas grills get a bad rap, but man,
yeah,
I can make an awesome meal on a gas grill just as easily as I can on a Kamado. And it's one of these situations where people will rag me if I cook on the gasser, but it's just a tool,
absolutely. Well, and the
All
reality
of
is, I started on a gas grill.
Yeah, I did too. I didn't have a I didn't have a charcoal grill of my own until uh shortly before I started doing YouTube videos. Some of the first YouTube videos I did were about how to hook a DigiQ2 DX up to a Weber Smoky Mountain. And
Wow,
the reason I was doing that video is because I had been out looking for one and couldn't find one. So I made that video. That was one of the first videos I made.
wow,
And I bought the Weber kettle right about the same time I bought the Weber Smoky Mountain. And it hadn't been too long before that I had bought a new gas grill. It was before I moved in here with my Tanya now, who's my wife. We weren't married at the time, but I bought a gas grill to use up here, and I brought it up here,
yeah,
and we cooked on it, cooked steaks, burgers, hot dogs, stuff like that. But when I bought that charcoal grill, one of the first things that my wife said when I cooked the first steaks that we made on it is she said, "I don't care if you ever cook on that gas grill again." Because it makes a big flavor difference. And
yeah, it does.
we subsequently gave that gas grill to her brother, who continued to use it for several more. It was a char griller as well, come to think of it. A really nice little $169 three burner gas grill that did a great job.
I
It
did
does.
I have a whole video on gas versus charcoal, and just versus my Joe Jr. versus a gas grill that was really cheap I got from Home Depot, just to show the
Yep.
difference. Because a lot of my channel, I like to, like you said, focus on the basics for somebody that's just starting. But I like to include my kids, my two daughters in the videos occasionally as taste
Right.
testers. And I got them so accustomed to charcoal flavor, and I had them do a blind taste test between gas versus charcoal on steaks,
Right.
and I think also ribs, that video.
Mhm.
And they guessed right both times
Really.
on which one was what. So it was
It's
really,
different.
yeah,
Well,
very
what
impressive.
what grills do you have right now? What are you cooking on?
So okay, so I started on Kamado Joe. So I've got 3 Kamado Joes: the Classic 2, the Joe Jr., and the Kettle Joe.
Mhm.
And then I've got a pit barrel, which I'm a real big fan of. And then I got a drum smoker, which I'm actually about to get. I'm about to sell that off because I'm getting overloaded with grills. And then
Which drum do you have?
it's from Smoker Builder. I'm not sure
Okay.
if you follow Smoker Builder on Instagram or on YouTube. His name's
Mm-mm.
Frank, great guy. He manufactures huge smokers, like big smokers, but he also does drums. And then lastly, Solo Stove, which they're more known for their fire pits, but which I have. But they also have a grill they just came out, and then they also have a grilling accessory, a cast iron grill grate that sits on your on top of your fire pit. So those are the, I guess, the three brands: Solo Stove, Pit Barrel, and Kamado Joe.
Tell me, I saw the Solo Stove video recently. Tell me what you think about that.
Well,
that's just an open fire pit with a cooking grate on top.
Exactly. So there's two versions. There's one that is a traditional charcoal grill. You throw in whatever your preference of charcoal is, and it just burns. Their whole thing is it's the heat, the way they designed the Solo Stove with holes at the bottom and top, and the way it's double insulated. It burns so hot, right. Especially with their fire pit. You get a clean burn with, and they claim, and I've experienced it, where it's a smokeless right. fire pit. Now on the grill, it burns really hot. I was able to dial it in and kind of level it out at probably 325 on the grill. So I think its strengths on the Solo grill is more just like fast fire flipping, direct grilling. Exactly.
Could you build a fire in half of it?
Yes, I did.
Throw something in that grill down in the bottom on the other half.
Yeah, like kind of a caveman style, you mean?
Well, not necessarily caveman style. I'm not talking about cooking directly on the coals, but that pit's round and it's deep. Yep. And I figured maybe if you built a fire on the bottom side of one half of it and left the other half clean, you could throw a roast in there or something and cook.
I did
inside the grill.
Yes, that's a great point. No, I did that. I did a video on pork, and I've done it without a video too. Pork butt. Yep. It's my favorite thing to smoke and eat.
Yeah.
And so I did. I experimented with that a few times before I shot a video, and I did that exact same method that I didn't do the snake method because I like to use lump charcoal.
I've seen the Solo Stove, but I've never been around one of them that's in action. I think they have that, or they had it for a while at Atlanta Grill Company. I think I remember seeing one down there, but
I'm a big fan.
I've never cooked on one or never pursued getting one. One of the reasons I haven't pursued that grill is I don't have a great place to use it. I wouldn't want to set that on my wooden deck. And I don't have a great spot out here on the backside of my house for that grill or that stove. I would love to have that as just an outdoor fire pit, though.
There's nothing like live fire cooking. I think that's why I love it so much, is because I love live fire cooking. I cooked a tri-tip last week on it and I just finished building out a little outdoor fire pits, little patio for both of the Solo Stoves. And, those things are designed to be kind of a community experience where you're sitting around your friends and you're cooking together or you're enjoying the fire. So that's kind of their whole stick, is kind of like, let's do this together. And so I have I'll have neighbors over and we'll cook around the fire and stuff.
I had a pit barrel cooker also, and I really enjoyed that when I had it. I don't still have it. I've since had to part ways with it for a lot of the same reasons you're talking about here. Space becomes a problem after a while, but the pit barrel cooker did a couple of things extremely well.
Yes.
But one of the things I loved doing on the pit barrel cooker was hanging the ribs. I got some really, really great racks of ribs, hanging them, and then hanging the half chickens.
Oh, come on. Yes.
Splitting the chicken in half and hanging. I hooked up with Noah early on when he was just coming around, and back when I was only doing man cave meals. In fact, I got my pit barrel cooker right before I connected with Kamado Joe, and cool. I had done a couple of videos on it already. And back then, they've changed their tune now, but back then they wanted you to use briquette charcoal, and they wanted you to light it with starter fluid.
Oh gosh.
My sister Margaret's with us tonight. Margaret, glad you could make it in, but that drew a lot of criticism, even though if you do it properly, it's not a problem. And
Yeah.
Noah specifically asked me. He says, when you do these videos, he says, I know there's going to be some, some blowback from it, but this thing's designed to work this way, and if you do it this way, it's going to be fine. And I said, yeah, I know. I've used starter fluid many times, and your
Yeah.
food won't taste like starter fluid if you let it burn off before you cook with it. But
Right.
it serves a purpose. It's one of those taboo things. It's kind of like I don't mind addressing the taboo every now and then. I don't know if you saw my boiled ribs or not, but that's
Yeah.
taboo. Liquid smoke's taboo, but
Yeah.
I use both of those techniques, and
Well, it's like you said, it's a method to have a good tasting end result.
right. But it's all about your preference and what you want to cook on. It's like one of the things I've had a hard time adjusting to, and I'm not really sure I've really given it a fair shake as sous vide. Sous vide,
I'm saying,
I've done. There are some things that I think sous vide works extremely well with, and but I've had a hard time adapting my taste to it. But
yeah,
there's no. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's a preference thing.
yeah,
I've got this. I might do some video content sometime soon with this Anova Precision oven that I bought. That oven does some things that I really like. Uh,
hmm,
a couple of times, like I had Tanya's parents over recently for her dad's birthday dinner, and I did pork chops. I did some pork loin chops where I just sliced some nice thick chops off of a pork loin. I tied them up. I marinated those guys, and I took them out to the PK grill and seared them up and put some really pretty grill marks on those.
nice.
Then I brought them in and stuck them in that Anova Precision oven to finish them off in the oven's sous vide mode, which is it's not exactly sous vide.
Yeah.
Well, it's similar to sous vide, but it's more of a steam. It's like a steam oven,
Oh, interesting.
and you set it up like you would a sous vide oven. It's using a bulb thermometer to work with the temperature there, and
Okay.
I set it up for a little over 140 degrees because I had a pretty adamant rule that I could not, in those particular pork chops, I could not leave any showing pink, any pink in behind. Her parents, Tanya said, my parents won't touch that if they see any pink in it.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. I said, I'll make sure I don't have any. So about 141, 142 for a little bit will get you beyond that,
Yeah.
which were still fine. Her dad complimented the pork chops, and he said those are
Nice.
some of the most tender and juicy pork chops I've ever had. And
That's a great
that's one way to do that. Pork, like chicken, it's real easy to turn it into shoe leather. And
compliment.
it's this oven. I spent a good bit of money on that Anova Precision oven. By the time I got it here, I got close to $700 in that. But it's a quite capable oven.
That's
It's
cool. Uh,
I wanted it because I was going to have a steam oven that I could try cooking bread in, and that's the main reason I bought that oven. And it does a fantastic job with rustic style breads. I no longer have to use a Dutch oven,
Yeah.
or I don't have to make steam unnaturally. I can run this. This oven runs up to 475 degrees. I wish it would go up to 550 for
Yeah.
those breads, but it won't. It stops at 475. But if I run 475 with 100% steam during the first part of that bread cook, it makes it makes the crust on these rustic sourdough bulls. Uh, they're phenomenal.
Wow.
They're better than anything I've ever done in a Dutch oven or any other way. No, Tom, I don't think I can roast coffee in it. I don't have a rotisserie. I've got a coffee roaster, and that's a project I'm still working on. We'll
Yeah.
get back to coffee roasting at some point later, but I've
Yeah.
got a professional that's going to help me with my coffee roasting problems, and I don't know if I have any problems. The problems might be my wife, so we're going to figure that out too, or it might be the selection of the beans that I'm using. My wife is used to drinking blended coffee beans, not single
Yeah.
source beans. And
Okay.
what I've been buying, they're single source, and
Oh.
typically, like we picked out some Ethiopian yerga chefe, which is
Sure.
a single bean that comes from a single plantation in Ethiopia.
Yep.
I've got some Brazilian stuff. I've got some Guatemalan beans, but when you buy coffee at most of these coffee shops, they're typically not single source beans. They're blends of a lot of different kinds
That's
of
interesting.
beans to achieve a particular result. And most of I think what we're experiencing here is the flavors that I'm coming up with are flavors that my wife's not used to. So
Uh,
it may be that I need to buy some blends and
yeah,
or create some blends to get more along the lines of what she likes. But I'm going to learn that. There's a
man.
professional coffee roaster around the corner from me in a bakery up here that's going to teach me what I'm doing, and I'll be able to bounce my coffee off of him. I'll be able to give him some of my coffee, and he can tell me if something's wrong with my roast.
I love
He,
that.
he'll be able to give me critical feedback on my roast, which Tanya would try. You know, Tanya or I, neither one are able to critically judge whether or not my coffee's any good because I'm not a coffee drinker.
Yeah, I
She
know.
knows what she knows what she likes and she knows what she doesn't like, but
Yep.
she's not able to say that's not roasted enough or that's
Yeah.
roasted too much or what's going on there. So, you know, it's a learning process kind of like barbecue, except it's maybe a little more complicated.
I want to learn
And
how to do it.
yeah,
I think I commented on one of your posts a few days ago, going, "Man, I want to figure out how to do that on a Kamado, but I don't know if that's possible."
it is possible. You need to talk to Stephen Hickey about it or Bo Chavis.
Okay.
Uh, you can do it, and it's a lot of work, and it's the part. There's a couple of issues I have with it doing it on a Kamado. Is it? I believe that doing it consistently from roast to roast on a Kamado is going to be very difficult.
Okay.
Uh, from what I've read and learned about roasting, there's several stages of the roast of a coffee bean, and the first part of the roast you want to get that bean up to a certain temperature as quickly as you can, and then you want to slow the process down just a little bit because that's when the Maillard reaction and the caramelization is happening
Hmm.
inside the bean. You want to
Gotcha.
slow that process down a little bit, but then you don't want to stall it. You want to speed it back up. There's
No, that makes sense though. I mean, I've seen these
well,
roasts. I've been to a
what you
coffee
need to
shop
do,
that roasts.
you need to spend $1,600 on your coffee roaster where you can hook your laptop up to it and collect the data that needs to be collected to
Wow.
where you can do it consistently from roast to roast. It's hard. Yeah, Steven says it's a lot of work, and it is. And I think the Kamado makes it difficult to shift your temperature at all. You really
Sure.
couldn't shift. You won't be able to do any temperature shifting, but you can do it. And Steven's done it. Steven's done coffee roasting in his Kamado,
Hmm.
and there's this guy down somewhere close to Atlanta Grill Company named Bo Chavis that does it, and I think he's selling his
That's
Kamado roasted coffee. But it's
that's a process.
it is, and it's I'm not. I feel bad. I've let it kind of become a money pit, and I'm not qualified to tell. It's kind of like me trying to learn to cook a perfect Boston butt, and I don't like pulled pork. You know
Yeah.
that's the boat I'm in here. It's
Yeah.
not that I don't like coffee. Coffee's not one of my favorite things, but it's
Yeah.
definitely I'm not qualified to tell what's good, bad, or otherwise because I don't have a baseline to work from because I just don't drink much coffee.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Hey, going back to the pit barrel real quick, did you ever smoke or hang steak on the pit barrel before you got rid of it?
nope.
By far, it's the most requested way. My wife loves having me cook steak, and I would almost agree with her that just the convection of just hanging
Yep.
and heat. Oh, and then you
Well,
can sear it however you want afterwards. But
I am a pure steak snob.
are you?
I am, and I've tried steaks a lot of ways. I haven't tried that way, but that's kind of like a reverse sear
It
in a
is
roundabout
exactly.
way.
Yep.
I don't have anything against reverse sear, but I still prefer searing mine first
Okay.
because the sear that you get on cooked meat is different from the sear you get on raw meat. They're not the same. And I prefer my preference, it's not a right or a wrong way. It's just my
Sure.
preference. I prefer that sear quality on the raw meat and then finishing it over indirect heat. I am getting ready. I've been threatening to. There's another method I'm going to try, and when I do, I'm going to make a video on it. There's another way. Uh, I don't even want to talk too much about it, but
You got to keep it on the DL.
it's something I've been toying with, and I haven't really. Well, I'll just tell you because when I say it, somebody else is going to go out there and beat me to it. But this is not the easiest technique, but I'm going to deep fry some steak.
Okay. All right.
And I've experimented with a few things, and it's hard. It's going to take a little bit more experimentation because the problem you have deep frying is monitoring is not overcooking it.
Yeah.
You can put that steak in some oil that's about you could submerge it in oil that's about 375 degrees, and you can put your meter or whatever thermometer you want in there, but
Yeah.
you got to pull it off way quicker than you think you need to pull it off
Hmm.
because that hot oil is transferring heat into that meat at a much higher rate than you're doing it on your grill. Uh,
Yeah.
it's contact. It's conductive heat, which is
Yes.
a lot more intense heat than convective heat. It's
Yeah.
it's the same kind of heat you're getting when you set your steak down on a cast iron surface or on a soapstone, but it's happening on all surfaces of the steak at one time. And the experiments I've done so far, I've overcooked everything, and I've got to find the sweet spot of how to do it and how to get it off. And learning that is going to be basically timing because a thermometer is not going to help you on this. You need to know how thick your steak is, how
Hmm.
hot your oil is, and you got to figure out the right amount of time to leave
Wow.
it in there after you drop it out, after you drop it in. And I'll figure that out eventually.
What about
Because
butter
it's
and
still,
tallow and submerging it in melted butter or tallow?
Mhm.
Have you done that?
Well, somebody just mentioned tallow here. It was Scott Harmon said to use beef tallow,
Yeah.
and tallow would be fine. Uh, I would not use butter, but I would use ghee,
Yeah.
and it gets expensive in time, and it's expensive to do it with ghee because you need enough of this to submerge the steak.
Yep.
And when I make ghee, I usually make about a quart at a time or
Okay.
2 pints of ghee. Uh, 4 pounds of butter usually will give me about that much,
Wow.
and it's I don't. It would take all of that to give me enough to submerge and do deep fry a steak. But
Yeah.
I've seen some people do this, and the thing that fascinates me the most about it is that sear.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful, perfect sear, and it's not charred. And this is
Hmm.
another problem I have when I look. Uh, char and caramelization are not the same thing.
True.
And I see a lot of scorched steaks that,
Hmm.
uh, that's another thing about reverse sear. You go from sear to scorch a lot quicker in the reverse sear process than you do searing your cold meat. And
Yeah.
that little gray band that people talk about, I
Hmm.
don't have a problem with that. That doesn't bother me. It's
Yeah.
if the sous vide method, you can do away with that if you want to. So yeah, it's just I'm
What's
I'm
your
gonna go ahead.
What's your favorite way to sear, regardless of the timing of it? Do you directly you like to use a soapstone, a grill
Yes,
grate?
soapstone.
Yeah.
That's
Same.
my preferred way. Soapstone or cast iron. Uh,
Yeah.
Soapstone has some advantages over cast iron. I'm not gonna dig into that science at the moment, but it cast iron works as well as soapstone, but it has some limitations that soapstone doesn't have. And the yeah, I like doing it on either one of those surfaces because very easily. Just look and see. Is it where I want it? Nope. Put it back down.
Yep.
And I like to use a little bit of ghee in that process as well. That helps the process along. I'll use a little bit of ghee on that soapstone, then I'll put my steak down on it
Yep.
and kind of press it on, or I'll lay a bacon press on top of the steak for the first minute or so that it's on there. Have a look at it. Uh,
Yep.
I like to have my soapstone somewhere between 500 and 550 degrees on the surface, and I use an IR thermometer so I
Yep.
can know that,
Yep.
and that's when I start cooking. And but also with a soapstone, when it gets to 500 degrees, it's not ready. You got to let it hold there for a while because that's a lot of thermal mass,
Yep.
and you've got to let it heat soak is the term that most people use. You've got to let it preheat, or it
Yep.
won't do its job properly. With a soapstone that's been adequately preheated, you can sear your steak on it, and then you can flip that steak and put it back down in the same spot where you were, and it'll keep right on cooking.
Yep.
Because soapstone doesn't give up its heat quite as easily as cast iron does. If you do that on cast iron, it's going to take you twice as long to get that same sear on the other
Sure.
side of the meat because that cast iron's giving up a bunch of its heat. It's the thermal mass and the thermal retention on the soapstone's better. And I try to avoid getting into this discussion online because there's a price difference. The soapstone costs more, and
Yeah, dude, I'm a huge slope. I'm almost like for sure prefer it over my cast
yeah,
iron.
it costs more. But the other thing I love about the soapstones, I clean it with soap and water, and it doesn't rust. So
Yes.
yeah, Steven says science, and
Science.
yeah,
I love that. Yeah,
cooking is science, but it's not rocket science. And the other
agree.
thing about cooking's science in one hand and art in the other hand. They have to come together at some
Yep.
point. It's not all of one or all of the other.
Yep.
That's why some cooks make better food than others, because if cooking was nothing but science, everybody could learn to do it, and everybody
Sure.
could be really good at it. So
Very true.
there's one thought. But uh, so what else? What else do you like cooking on? What what's your go-to grill for a weeknight meal at your house in Oklahoma City?
Oh, you know what? It's funny. My daughter just came in here. What's the favorite thing that you like me cooking during the week?
Steaks are perfect.
Yeah, steaks and pork butt.
Steaks and pork
we
butt.
probably
There
we
you
probably
go.
eat that way too much, but I like pork butt because it no matter what grill I'm cooking, because I can turn it into multiple meals throughout the
Right.
week.
Exactly.
And my favorite thing to do with pork butt beyond just like the sandwiches is pork fried rice is probably one of our family favorites.
Right.
So that's one thing that we like to make a lot, and then we cook up steaks and pork chops a ton on all the different grills.
Yep. I'm gonna show you a picture right quick if I can find it. Uh, One of the things I've got coming up on the Atlanta Grill Company page next week is something cool to do with leftover pulled pork.
Oh man, I can't wait because I'm always looking for ideas.
Uh, have a look at this.
I just saw you post that. I need to know more about that. That looks amazing.
Well, it's really simple, and it's not my idea. I actually scavenged this online somewhere. Scott, Tanya, hold Scott's question here because we'll come back to that because that's a good one. Uh, these are what I would call pulled pork puff pastry bites, and they're about, I don't know, 4 inches long. What I did was I took a sheet of uh, puff pastry, which was another leftover I had. I did Chef Eric's baked brie a while back, and
Nice.
I had an extra sheet of puff pastry left over. So I used leftover puff pastry and leftover pulled pork to do this. So I kind of rolled that sheet of puff pastry out a little bit to make it a little bit thinner,
Mm.
and I used a pizza wheel to cut it into 9 pieces like a tic-tac-toe board.
Oh, that's
And
great.
I took some pulled pork barbecue out of the freezer, thawed it out. I chopped it up a little finer, and I dumped in some barbecue sauce and stirred it up, some sweet barbecue sauce, and then I laid some of that on these sheets of let's see here.
Wow, man, that's a great. Those are. Oh man.
So I just laid some of that pulled pork on there. There's how I trimmed out that puff pastry. Laid on some pulled pork that had been sauced, some grated white cheddar cheese, and then you just roll that guy over. And I used a little egg wash there to kind of hold that together. And
Okay.
then I put it in a pan with parchment paper, and then put some egg wash on the outside of the puff pastry. Hit it with some of that Atlanta Grill Company Georgia Butts and Ribs barbecue rub, and then I slid that guy in the Kamado Joe with the Dojo.
Oh, I was gonna say
And
that's a dojo. Yeah, I can totally see
I had the Dojo running about. I was using my fireboard to run this thing at 425 or so,
that. Okay.
and this is what we come up with.
Wow.
That one there kind of came apart on top, but these things were delicious.
I think I got to go out and get those puff pastries tomorrow and make because I've actually got leftover pork butt right now. So I'm like, I think we got to go make that.
Yeah, but I made a post about this that's going to come up next week. Tanya and I are going out. Oh, that's another thing, guys. For those of you that are still here with us, we'll not be here next week. Tanya and I are going to be out of town again. We're going out to the left coast for a few days, and we're going to hang out in Southern California a little bit. Take us a little vacation.
Nice.
Um, I'm I won't be back. I'll be back Friday night, but it'll be late Friday night. We're leaving early Tuesday morning, and I won't be back till late Friday night. So we won't have a live stream next week. And But I've already done my content for Kamado or for Atlanta Grill Company for next week, and that's one of the posts that'll come up on the Atlanta Grill Company page. That'll come up on Thursday in my write up about it, and on Friday I've got a pork butt in the Joe Jr. video that's coming up Friday from.
I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah,
and try that.
I've about decided, you know, it's well known that I'm not the world's biggest fan of the Joe Jr. The funny thing about it is the main thing I don't like about the Joe Jr. is the stand. It's not the grill. It's a great grill.
Yeah,
I hate the stand, and I've got the thing sitting in its own stand inside of a classic stand because I've got my classic in another table.
Yeah.
But I'm really disappointed that Kamado Joe hasn't gone ahead and built us a new stand for that. But here's one more question I want to hit on.
Yeah.
What's a meal people don't do that is not too long for a Saturday cook?
That people don't do.
What's something? I guess he's asking about something that's out of the ordinary, something that's not the norm, that's short and easy to do on a Saturday for a meal. Is that correct, Scott? Are you asking?
Yeah.
What's something outside the box, outside the norm?
I can think of an appetizer that's outside of the norm that I would make. That's really fun and delicious.
What's that?
And that would be bacon wrapped pickles with and just add a little bit of your favorite seasoning to that. And I know that might be just not everybody's flavor profile, but it's a neighborhood favorite.
Yes.
He's looking for something. He's looking for something that's not ribs, that's not chicken.
How about tri-tip?
Oh yeah.
Well,
it's not. It's probably common though.
Short and not common. Scott, the first thing, we've got Scott Harmon asking the question, so don't get confused when I'm talking to two Scotts here. Scott Bartlow, what protein would you go with on something like that? Something that's out of the ordinary.
I'm going to give you an Oklahoma answer. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a smoked bologna.
A bologna chub.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Short. It's not too long.
Scott Harmon, how many people are you going to feed with this? How many people do we need to make food for? How many? I'm thinking I know what I would do, but it would depend on how many people
Yeah.
he's going to feed. Uh, Gary down here has hit on what I'm thinking about. He says monkfish. There's no way I'm putting the monkfish on the grill, but I'm going to cook fish. 3 adults and 6 kids. Scott, if your kids will eat fish, I would get a whole salmon fillet and cook that guy on the soapstone and do a crispy skinned salmon. And
Ooh.
I made a video on Atlanta Grill Company's page about doing crispy skinned salmon where you cook it. You get your stone up to 450, 475, put down a little oil, cook it skin side down until that thing's about 3/4 of the way cooked all the way through, and then you flip it over just long enough to put a little bit of sear on the other side, and then you serve that with. You could use melted butter, you could use melted ghee. If you want to go really nice with it, do a hollandaise or do a bear blanc, a hollandaise, or even a béarnaise maybe. A nice sauce that's not a sauce that's not going to overpower that fish, but that salmon fillet is going to cook in 15 or 20 minutes max. There's a lot of quick stuff you can do that's not your typical stuff.
Got a few
There's
other.
there's a whole lot of things you can do with chicken breasts that are out of the ordinary. Also, stuffed chicken breasts are fun to do. You could do stuffed pork loin. You could do pork tenderloins cook very quickly. You can sear the outside of a pork tenderloin, and
Yeah.
one of the things I like to do with pork tenderloin is roll it. I'll get a pan and I'll put a jar of orange marmalade in it and chop up some rosemary, put it in there, and I'll roll that pork tenderloin in that as I'm cooking it. I'll sear it for a little while. I'll roll it in that, sear it some more, and you're building up a really beautiful, sweet, flavored crust on that while it's cooking. And a pork tenderloin, for that many people, you might want to do two because most of the time those things come packaged. There's two in a package anyway. But you're going to slice those into medallions, and 2 to 3 medallions per person. And if you've got that many people, you're going to need at least 2 of them.
Yeah.
And John's asking about how I save pulled pork. I use one of 2 ways. I serve it. I save mine in either 1 cup or 2 cup. I'll get a measuring cup out and I stuff that pulled pork into the measuring cup, and then I dump that into my vacuum seal bag because 1 cup of pulled pork is a good sized single serving. It's a big single serving, 1 cup.
It's
Even
great.
if you're going to make sandwiches, that's enough for 2 sandwiches usually. But I do 1 cup and I do 2 cup servings. Vacuum seal it, freeze it for pulled pork.
Great suggestion.
Unless I'm going to feed a lot of people, I'll put it all in 1 bag because I'm going to reheat that either in a crock pot with some liquid or I'm going to reheat it via sous vide for several hours. And if I'm going to feed a lot of people, if I know I'm going to feed a lot of people, I just put it all in 1 bag. I don't try to parcel it out into servings.
Yeah.
But I like having 1 cup servings where I can go grab a 1 cup bag out of my freezer, toss it in simmering water, and 45 minutes later it's ready to eat.
Nice.
There's no work involved in that. So Cindy there said butterfly leg of lamb. That leg of lamb's not a really short cook. That leg of lamb's going to take several hours.
I think
John, that 1 cup serving, that was not my idea. I don't know if my mom's out here listening or not. My mom's the one that said you need to put that in 1 cup of that in a bag, because I was always putting too much in the bags. She says just make the bag with 1 cup of it in there, and that's when I started doing that, and it works out great. But that I have to give my mom credit for coming up with that serving size.
Yeah. Other summer cooks that are quick, I do, and this is just not as fancy of what you guys are mentioning. It's just smoked sausage and things like that, or pickle.
Oh, that's a perfect idea. Smoked
Yeah.
sausage and baked potatoes. I like to get
Hasselback potatoes. I've been
even Hasselback. The one of the things my wife and I have around here fairly regularly is baked potatoes and smoked sausage, and that takes an hour. I get my grill up. I'll figure out which grill I'm going to cook on. I preheat it. I get it up to somewhere between 4 and 425, and
Yeah.
when it's up to temp, I'll have my baked potatoes prepped, and I'll just go set them on the grill. And I wash my potatoes. I rub the outside of the potatoes with olive oil, and then I put something like the Atlanta Grill Company Himalayan Sherpa, which is a salt, pepper, garlic, on the outside of that potato. Set them on the grill, and when I've got about 20 to 25 minutes to go in that hour, I put my smoked sausage on there if it's already cooked. And if you're gonna
That
if you're
sounds so.
if you're putting uncooked sausage on there, it's going to need to go a little sooner. But you'll just have to know what your cook time is on that. But that's an hour start to finish from the time you put it on the grill. And
Yep.
you could go. I know some of the Latino markets around here have these big spirals of chorizo. Man, you could get that.
Oh, yes,
Put,
those are so
put
good.
Yeah, put a whole spiral of chorizo on that grill and get you one of those big spatulas, because after you're going to want to flip that guy after it gets a little bit of sear and char on one side, flip it over to get it on the other side. But
You know what's good
sausage,
with chorizo for breakfast is get your tortilla, cut it in half, where you make a little quesadilla, throw some chorizo on there, eggs, and some type of bacon or sausage, and flip those into a breakfast quesadilla.
right.
So
My
good.
wife also likes twice baked potatoes.
Oh
And,
yeah,
that's something that's a little harder to do on a Kamado.
yeah,
But like you saw in the pictures I showed a little while ago, the dojo, uh, you got to understand the dojo is good for stuff besides pizza. And one of the things I'm going to stand here and tell you that something that Kamados suck at doing, and that is browning. Uh,
Mm,
if you try to make a twice baked potato and put it in your Kamado under normal circumstances to get it to brown that, it's not going to brown. It just
mm,
won't, because all the heat's going out of the top, going out
yeah,
of the top vent. The dojo brings that heat back down, and the dojo allows you to do a lot better browning than you
mm,
can do with anything else. So if you cook, if you put a pan of lasagna on the Kamado with the dojo, or a pan of macaroni and cheese on there, it'll brown on top like it's supposed to,
mm.
and it
What's
won't.
your favorite thing in the dojo to cook?
What's the favorite what?
What's your favorite thing to cook on the dojo?
Lasagna,
Oh, okay. I need to do that. I haven't
or
done that.
or the Chicago style deep dish pizzas, or I do pizzas with the dojo, and I like my wife and I like the Detroit style pizzas an awful lot, and it does a great job with that in the dojo. Also, the other thing, the dojo has a problem that I don't like. I wish the opening on the dojo was about an inch taller
Oh,
than it is,
I would
because
agree.
I've got some pans I can't slide in there. But when it comes to something like lasagna, it's okay that it won't slide in there. I can just open the lid, set it in there, and then close the lid, because it's not going to be a 2 or 3 minute cook. It's going to be a 30-minute cook or a 40-minute
Yeah,
cook, and having that lid open for that short of time is not going to change anything.
yeah.
But get outside the box with your dojo, guys. Do some stuff with the dojo that's not pizza, and you'll it makes the Kamado behave more like a wood fired oven. And I think
Mm.
you'll enjoy some of the things like those puff pastry bites I did. They browned up nicely doing it with the dojo, and I would that wouldn't have happened had I not used the dojo. So I don't know if I commented directly on that in the write up about it or not, but you know, you can do those in the oven too. If you don't want to fire up a grill, at least make that and cook it in your toaster oven or your indoor oven.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Speaking of these accessories, one thing I wish Kamado, and right now I've got a JJ George table for my junior and classic, but I
right.
wish there was more of affordable Kamado style table that had storage built in, because you
No
start
such
collecting,
thing.
you have all these.
Affordable and Kamado tables are
Well,
mutually exclusive.
True. I will say JJ George probably is the most affordable out there because there is one table that I really want, but it's just as much as a Kamado, and I'm like, I can't.
Oh, if you found one that's the same price as the Kamado, let me know where to go get that.
Kamado
because
Space.
I'd like to look at it.
Go look at Kamado. It's called Kamado Space is the company.
Those tables are $3,500.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say they're at the top. So you know what I'm talking about.
They're way more than the Kamado. They're beautiful tables, and I've looked at some of those, and there's a couple of guys here. Stephen Hickey's got one of those, and Luca Varini's got one of those also. They're beautiful tables, but
because I got to use my garage to hang all my accessories, or they're under my table. And
those tables they're way more expensive than I would buy myself.
Yeah,
I'm gonna. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I've got my. Steven says it's $3,000, so I was close.
Yeah,
that's a big Joe 3 with some money left over. So if you want to look at it from that aspect, you're about right.
Yeah,
it's a big Joe 3 plus 500.
Yeah, so, I was thinking the cost of the Pellet Joe or the Big Joe for sure.
Yeah, so my problem is I'm sometimes out of touch with the price on what everything costs these days, but I've got the Kamado Joe cart that they've discontinued, and I'm going to be getting rid of that and putting I've got my Classic 2 in that cart, but I'm going to put my Classic 2 back in its original cart.
Okay.
Just to regain the space it's taken up, and I'm going to come up with some other option for prep space on my deck. I need outdoor prep space, but I need outdoor prep space less in the summertime because I've got there's flies out there. I don't know how to get rid of those things.
Dude, I'm in the same boat. There's the soft pellet gun or the fly killer thing.
I don't have time. I would need an army of people with those guns. You go out there and there's no flies around until you bring some food out.
It's so true.
You don't see a fly till you bring some food out there, but it's an ongoing problem. But I want to put another smoker out there. I'm kind of shopping around to figure out. I want a new smoker, and I'm
what kind are you looking for? What direction are you going? Have you ever done offset or anything like that?
I had an offset, but I'm not going that route. I bought an offset long enough for me to learn how to use it so I could speak intelligently about using it. I stumbled across a mispriced $1,000 offset at Academy Sports. They had it priced at, instead of $9.99, it was priced at $3.99, so I bought it. And I kept it long enough to learn how to use it. And get to where I could control it properly. And Cindy, it's called Kamado Space is the name of that company. They're in the UK, but they're selling stuff here in the US. Or I think you can get their stuff here in the US. But I've lost my train of thought now. Where were we?
Well, I took us down the rabbit trail on the whole the kind of table and the accessories, and wish we could, and so we're going down all the pros and cons of that. So
but I'm just I'm looking at a
and the new grill. There we go.
I'm looking at a Backwoods Chubby.
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm familiar.
I'm thinking I want a cabinet smoker or a gravity feed smoker. And this Backwoods Chubby is about the price. It's about in the price range I want to be in. It's $8.99.
Nice.
And it's a reverse flow cabinet smoker. I really am intrigued by the way that smoker works. And I've sent email to the company asking about availability. I don't know if there is anything available right now because everybody seems to have inventory issues on everything right now.
Yes.
And they haven't bothered to respond to me yet, so I'm kind of thinking there's probably none to be had at the moment.
Yeah.
So
Oklahoma Joe have they have all sorts of smokers.
They don't have anything I would buy.
Okay.
They've got an inexpensive offset for if somebody was interested in learning to use an offset. They've got a good quality, inexpensive one. They've got a reverse flow, in fact, and
that's what I was thinking about.
If I wanted to buy an inexpensive offset, that would be the one I would buy. It's like $4.50 or something like that. They also have a drum smoker for people that are interested in that. But yeah, we've got to wrap up here. We've been going 15 minutes longer than I like to go. So
Oh, nice. Time flies by, man.
yeah, let me wake Tanya up. There she is. Look at her. Hey, Tanya.
Hey.
We're getting ready to wrap up. I appreciate you helping us out again tonight, and I appreciate you sidekicking down to Atlanta with me today.
Oh yeah. Well, the scenery was great the whole way down there.
Don't listen to her. Well, I don't know what she was looking at, but it was just a bunch of interstate to me.
I love it.
Oh. Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have a good week, or have a good 2 weeks, because it's going to be 2 weeks before I see you again, and we'll be back. And Scott, I appreciate you coming on with us. We'll see if we can get you back on with us sometime here in the future.
I would love it. Appreciate you.
We'll get some stuff going. So, everybody, have a good weekend. Until next time.
We'll see you guys later.